You're not in the video.
I know. Any great transformation in one's life carries with it a history of struggle and perseverance. The affliction of imprisonment nourishes the endeavor for departure. I have had the privilege of such afflictions through experience in wrestling, education, and now my creative enterprise. Perseverance through such experience has served as the vehicle for my departure, ultimately cultivating a transformation in my competency as a virtuous human being. In Kids Club, I wrestled for Fox Valley Wrestling, where I learned speed, stamina, flexibility, strength, and also it instilled confidence in me. We competed nationwide, which allowed for cultural influences and brought my brothers, my father, my mother, and my sister closer together. It also taught me perseverance at a young age. In high school, I continued to build my physical strength and confidence. This was a time of physical transformation of my body. In college, I wrestled at Oklahoma and refined my technique and began to see wrestling as an art form rather than the sport of brute strength and physical combat. Wrestling at UNK brought me to Kearney, where I quickly decided to give up the sport and give full attention to my mind. This was a turning point in transformation from body to mind. Education has also taught me a lot. In high school, I was educated on social aspects of culture and relationships rather than the agenda that they pushed down my throat. Material was shallow and I lacked interest. Still, it was always easy. And creative, this is where my creative interest took flight. In college, I am currently going into my senior year at University of Kearney, Nebraska. The coursework is more in-depth. My mind is being freed from constraints of formal education, and curiosity is being achieved towards personal research and exploration. Also in college, I began to develop an intense work ethic for producing art at the Art Institute of Chicago. There was a lack of true understanding on my part of form and matter at this point. At UNK, I began to see beyond form and in depth and began to develop a depth and understanding. This applies to life, seeing the good in the good and true in nature. My personal education is most important to me in the development of my mind. I spend a lot of time researching on the internet, connecting the dots like synapses in the brain to classes and life experiences. I believe this is a truer education. My creative endeavor is probably my most important part of my life. At the Art Institute, I began to express myself through my work and relieve pains of imprisonment that formal education gave me. Carried on to Kearney, I now study art history, philosophy, and painting. I continue to free my mind of dominator attitudes learned through wrestling and Western civilization culture. My future endeavors are still competing to be the best in whatever I do. Now I am my only opponent, not other competitors or grading institutions. I plan to further my education at Yale, God willing, and continue philosophy and creative action. This will allow me to express the needed change in the world. I believe that the mind is our greatest asset. Aside from accessing the spiritual realm, I prefer to play a game of ping pong between the two. The nets serve as my preconceived ideas and judgments, and the paddles represent the mind and the other paddle the spirit. Wrestling, education, and creative enterprises have freed my mind from only seeing the physical planes of reality. I have transcended out of Plato's cave and into a world of thoughtful imagination. These experiences have transformed my competency to a path in pursuit of a sound mind and sound body. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
Nice job.
Nice job.